on my computer. Hey there, everybody. It's Jen Duplessis. Welcome to Beyond the Podcast. This Beyond the Podcast is from our Success to Significance Life After Breaking Through Glass Ceilings podcast. And of course, we have Mortgage Lending Mastery as well. And just excited to have my guest here with us, Clarissa Burt, Dame Clarissa Burt. And I better get that straight because I'm a lady. We're in the same order. And you would think that I would get that right from the very beginning. But welcome. Happy to have you here with us.
Really good to see you, I have to say. It's been a while and you know how much I love you. So it's so good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. And I don't know why we don't just chat more often instead of waiting for these crazy podcasts. We'll have to do that. But so your episode was I had it here and now I don't have it. Your episode was released on April 19th in 2023, this year. It was episode number 79 for Success to Significance, and it's titled Increase Your Self-Esteem, Become More Confident. And for those of you that are watching, we'll put the link here so that you can listen to that original podcast as well. And, but again, we just want to check in and see what's going on with Clarissa. You know, last time that we talked, you were working on your mastermind in Italy. You were heading to Italy. I know that you've had some things that have happened in your life, you know, personally, physically, emotionally, which is so
it's life,
fitting.
It's life.
It's life. It is. And it's so fitting for the fact that you have this gorgeous book about self-esteem and about building self-esteem. So yes, I love it. I love it. And, you know, as I told you, I gave that book out at an event I was just speaking at, you know, people were running up to get it. Yeah, of course. I ordered that whole box, you know, that I've given to people in my retreat and everything. So yeah, of course. I love giving it into the hands of people that need it. So, you know, when we talked on the original podcast, you know, we talked about some of the self-esteem issues that you had in your life and why you felt compelled to write this book. And really, when we were doing the podcast, the book was just coming out, or it had just come out, and there was all kinds of excitement around it. I know you're still in Barnes and Noble, you know, a year and a half later. What's happened since the book's come out that you know, you wish you would have put in the book, because life does change as time goes on. So what would you add to the book now?
I definitely would add generational trauma, and I would definitely add betrayal trauma, because these are remember when I said that self-esteem is something that goes really broad and really deep. Self-esteem, people think it's never compare yourself to anybody else and do your affirmation. Yes, it's that too, but there's so much more. You know, it really is a deeper dive into so many other things. And I think that a lot of the things that we take a look, you know, we take a look at ourselves and we start to do the work, or before we start to do the work, we kind of like, why am I wired the way I'm wired? Why is it I am? And I realized that there were a couple of things along the way, Jen, that were really, they were so blaring. They were almost glaring at me. And it wasn't until I, again, took that deeper dive that I was able to understand more about myself, which is why I guess I'm in just I'm in a place of healing, definitely, but I'm in a much calmer place than I used to be, because I've eliminated the toxicity. I like to use the phrase the toxic especially whenever we refer to generational trauma, which is what was brought forward to us and kind of foisted on us, right? Mom and dad, grandparents, you know, and keep going as you go back. But I really was able to understand so much more when, again, I started to take that deeper dive. One of those things for me was Dr. Elaine Aron's book, her work. She's a PhD, and she has something called Extra Sensitive People. And so I was able to ascertain through her work that about 30% of the global population has this dis-ease, which is really where you're triggered. You know, like for example, you cannot cook in my house because I can't stand the smells. I don't go to concerts because I can't stand loud noises. I have very difficult problem with, you know, like all of those with bright lights, for example. So there are smell, all of that. So I have a difficult time with that. There was something also very interesting that I came across. when we talk about Asperger's and going down that path, right? Now, remember, I don't know what I have and what I don't have, but I'm taking that deeper dive because I want to understand. And there's a book called Aspergirls. Aspergirls.
Oh.
It was really interesting as I was going and as I was doing the work and reading her book. It was and it was just like check. I'm like, oh my goodness. There's probably more too that, it's the way we're wired, I guess is what I'm getting to, Jen. You have to understand the way you as an individual are wired also in order to do the work on your self-esteem. It takes a little bit more of a little more digging up.
Yeah. Well, and listen, I mean, I think we're all working on that. I know I am, my story. I was known as Jenny who ain't got a penny, and I was going to be worthless, and, and I was going to be an alcoholic because my dad was, and a verbal abuser because my mom was. And so, and I still have all my little report cards, from kindergarten on. It says, Jennifer, because I was known as Jennifer in the classroom, Jennifer lacks self-esteem. Jennifer lacks confidence, and then you read it so many times and you see it so many times, you start believing that you have it. And I had to work on that so much. And you're right. You're triggered, when something happens in your life and it doesn't go your way. Right. Or you were reaching for a certain, goal or results, and it doesn't go that way. The first trigger that comes in because of that generational
trauma,
that generational confidence and trauma and drama, the first thing that comes in is I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not this. I'm not. Instead of, working on that and saying, hey, maybe the timing wasn't right. Maybe my marketing needs to be fixed, but it's not me personally.
Right.
It's not that somebody doesn't like me. And so I think that's interesting. And so let's talk a little bit about, you said betrayal as well. Tell us a little bit about that. And
it's really
before I even have you talk about that, I believe that I truly, this is how I work, and I coach my students this way: only work with people that complement, not complicate. And if they complicate your life or your business, they're out. Life's too short.
Yeah. And therein lies the conundrum, because people that are living by their value system, or a good, strong value system, people say, well, what can we do? What can I do? And I'll get to the betrayal trauma in a second. One of the first things that I ask people when I'm working with them is, give me your top 4 values. And you get deer in the headlights, because most people aren't even thinking about values anymore.
Oh my gosh.
People don't even know what values are. Like, what are they?
They ask it as a question, right? I get this. I go, what are your 7 values? And they go, family.
Exactly. So to my point,
I don't know. Is that a conviction?
Yeah. And I'm really, really strong. I say I take the high road, which is honesty, integrity, gratitude, and honor. And, I can break it down for you also. So when I go to the table, and any relationship that I have, I bring radical honesty, I bring integrity, I bring I bring gratitude all the time. And then definitely honor. Honor is something that it's just overlooked. We just are not, honoring ourselves and honoring others. And that means a whole different thing as well. But when we get back to betrayal trauma, it can be so many different things. It could be, somebody lying to you. It could be financial infidelity. I mean, how many times have we heard those stories? Also, I have collaborated in the past with an organization here in Phoenix, which, by the way, is a national organization, and it's called Domestic Shelters. So abused women and children. And one of the first things that women are abused with, or by their spouses, is money. And so the financial infidelity is, he had all these bank accounts hidden and all this money I didn't know about. And, that's horrible to come and find out about your partner. The lying, the disrespect, the using your partner's past against them, emotional coldness or emotional detachment, being with someone else, that whole betrayal, not speaking up for your partner, especially in public or in a public setting, like outing them in front of a group. These are horrible, horrible things that, we think we're teasing and we think we're fun. And, that was just a joke. Some people don't take it that way. Going back to me for years, it was, you're such a pain in the ass. You're such a pain in the ass. As I was a kid, that's all I heard. You're a pain in the ass and you're moody. Well, they were rotten to live with. I mean, I came from the War of the Roses. So the War of the Roses, I came out of that, the natal tribe, if you will, the familiar home with PTSD, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
Because of the amount
Yeah.
of violence and alcohol that there was. So then they would turn to
Yeah.
me when I was reacting. There was a reaction to that,
Yes.
and I was the problem. See, so you you have to be really mindful about those things too. Again, hurt people. So you have to, grow up and grow into big girl panties before you understand like the ways of the world and how it works. And that's why I always prompting people all the time. Get into the personal development section at Barnes and Noble, get into the, self-improvement section at Amazon, do the work, because this is just as important as your nail appointment, your hair appointment, and anything else, is the time that you will set aside for your personal development.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was thinking about a situation, when someone gets outed by their spouse or, a friend or whatever the case may be, whatever, a colleague, outed in a way that says, well, I was just teasing. What we fail to, and so yes, they've got problems, right? Because they're the hurt people, but that we also have to understand, what are the triggers for the other individual, because sometimes the teasing is the trigger for that other person. And it just, I say it grows it, right? It does this type of thing, but it also makes the relationship circle the drain.
That's right.
And now you're circling the drain and you don't know when it's going to stop. Yeah. And I think it's twofold on that. When someone's doing that, yes, they have pain and there's something that they need to deal with, but man, if they trigger the wrong thing in that person, then the relationship is just, chaotic mess. And that pulls that person back into their own self-esteem issues that they're dealing with as well.
And the deal, lack of confidence. Set your boundaries. A lot of people don't have comfort and have no comfort level with setting boundaries. And people think that when you set boundaries, you have to become angry and it becomes a thing. And it can be done with ease, grace, and glory. You can say to someone, hey, listen, can I speak to a sec? What you just said, what you just did kind of hurt. And may I explain why? Most people are going to say, oh my God, I didn't know. And you're done there. If someone says, oh, get over yourself, it was just a joke, what's your prop? You might have a toxic relationship on your hands. And then that's when you've got to take a look at it.
Yeah, now you have a decision. And, forgiveness is a conscious effort, right? It's a conscious act.
Yeah.
And that is something that someone has to consciously, be willing to do, is forgive someone and have that adult conversation, or instead we're running around like a bunch of kids, around there.
Somebody, Jen, and also we can always forgive, but we can also distance them should they not be someone we want. That energy can, we can still forgive them from over there somewhere. And it doesn't have to be within the inner circle. We have got to start being more discerning with whom we let into that inner circle, right? And if it's not happy, healthy, if it's not uplifting, and it's not of support, potentially of service, and I use the word loosely, it's not meant to be in your life, and vice versa. Please be that person for the other people that allow you into that grant you access into their inner circle.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. I absolutely love that. And that is complement versus complicate. And then it's like, bye-bye, close the door. I love that. Okay. So as we finish our time together today, what's ahead for the future for you? What's going on now? What are you looking to accomplish, in the next year? Because we're heading into
right now. So right now I just gotten done with the website. Basically, today or more that goes live. Very excited about the way it looks, the way it feels, the way it sounds. We're taking the self-esteem regime on the road in the sense that it's going to start being its own courses, its own classes, and definitely its own retreats. We're going to be breaking self-esteem down into the 4 pillars of self-esteem, which are look good, feel good, be good, and greater good. So giving, again, a lot of times we talk about self-esteem and our purpose in life. So we'll be doing a lot of work around that. And basically working with mostly women that are looking for, kind of them too, what's next? Like, a lot of these women, as we well know, are empty nesters or, and so they're really looking for a little bit more direction, and they're definitely looking for a sisterhood, which is something that I find to be, like even something outside of work, which is why I was thrilled about my mastermind, because we did integrate the business and the personal together. My sessions were 12 and my chapters are 12. Each chapter in the self-esteem regime begins with a word. We start with release and we end with reciprocal, and everything there in between was something that we were working on every mastermind session. So yeah, it's that kind of it's that kind of thing. But if you
just spreading all this great stuff there. Yeah, just spreading it all out there.
And I'll tell you why, Jen, because people are hurting. People are hurting.
Yes.
These last 3 years have been really pivotal and life-changing for so many people. And there has been so much loss. We had a pre-show conversation where I sort of, illuminated some of the things that, I've had to deal with in the last 3 years as well. All of them, pretty major. When you lose your entire Google Drive and you're basically twice in the hospital for COVID, you're thinking, there are some major things going on, and there's a lot of other things in between. But people really need to be spending a lot of time taking, 10 deep breaths and picking up books like mine that are going to help them navigate these really difficult, challenging times.
Yeah, I love it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So show your book again. Make sure everybody can see that. It is Self-Esteem Regime. Yep, a #1 bestseller, and you can get it on Amazon. It's available there. You can get it at Barnes and Noble as well. I love that. And so what mantra or quote would you like to leave us with today?
Well, you know how we always are talking about, I'm enough, you are enough, everybody's enough. Well, I looked up the definition of enough, and it is only as much as is required. Now, Jen, I don't know about you, but I am so much more than is required. Even by definition, the word enough is not enough, right? So the new mantra that I leave you and everyone else with is, I am so much more than enough. And if you can, write that down on a Post-it note, put it on your mirror, put it on the, where you're close by, where you're working near your computer, read it about 1,000 times a day, and that'll get you through.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I am so much more than enough.
Yeah, I am enough doesn't cut it. It just doesn't cut it.
Yeah, I'm so much more than that. Yeah, I think that's great. And actually, it's a great mantra for me to give to my husband because he had a traumatic brain injury, as you know. Yes. And so he's dealing with feeling, not worth and, his self-esteem, because he knows he's in a different position. And just being able to say, you're more than enough. Yeah. You're more than
enough. I mean, we didn't talk about that. Self-esteem as it pertains to health as well. It's a thing. Yeah. If a woman loses all of her hair due to chemo, or God forbid, a mastectomy. Yes. We know people, and it really does affect your self-esteem. So again, people go, self-esteem is just a silly. No, it's not. It's everything you are. It's everything you think, and it's exactly it's your perception of self and how you will live your life. So spend some time on it.
I love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Clarissa, for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it. It was so great to catch up with you. And, for you who are watching, thank you so much for watching. And please go back and listen to her episode with me, her full episode. And be sure to give us a 5-star review and put some comments in there about what you learned from Clarissa. And last but not least, pick up her book. And make sure that you dig deep into it. Like she says, go deeper than you ever thought, wider and deeper. So with that, we just want to say thanks for joining us on